Dick had made a deal with Suge, Doc, and Dre to sell him a recording studio that he owned. That was going to be something that they would own separate from the Death Row label because they wanted to have something that they owned. Suge came along and said he had found somebody to help them finance the purchase of the studio.
It's always been a subject of speculation where they got their original funding, and the FBI's continuing to look into this.
There are so many things you hear about this situation. I tell you this, Mike Harris was firmly planted in the middle of it.
On the news, they used to call Mike the Godfather.
Tonight, the story of a man who tried to murder his best friend. At the same time, he was attempting to win his way into Beverly Hills acceptance.
This is Michael Harris, a man drug agents describe as a major cocaine trafficker. At the young age of 26, he had already made millions of dollars. These are his roots, the streets of South Central Los Angeles, where he started pushing dope on street corners and hung with a blood street gang called the Bounty Hunters. In the drug world, he is known as Harry-O.
Mike Harris was a known entity in our community. You know, he was this guy bigger than life because Mike Harris was in jail doing things.
Prior to his incarceration, he was very visible. He had started doing numerous things in the community.
Harris built an organization that distributed cocaine in California, Arizona, Texas, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Missouri, Louisiana, Florida, and New York. Investigators say he dealt so much cocaine, major Colombian drug kingpins like Mario Villabona were obliged to deal directly with Harris. But like a mob godfather, Harris sought to legitimize his illicit fortune and gain Beverly Hills respectability.
I was not a drug dealer. I was a person who decided to sell drugs. But I also, at another point, decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I took those proceeds and invested in various real estate and businesses that turned out to be quite profitable.
Mike Harris had a wonderful background in entertainment. I think he was the first African-American ever to produce a Broadway show that was a smash, and it gave Denzel Washington his start.
Checkmate was the name of the play. The play opened on Broadway. Many of us African-Americans have been on Broadway, on the screen, out front singing and dancing, but very few of us have been there as producers.
I thought he was an entrepreneur in New York. I had no idea that he was in jail.
The first time I met Michael, it was a drug case involving Bo Bennett, Mario Villabona. That trial went and resulted in a number of convictions that went to trial in a federal court. And after that case, Michael, I believe, contacted David Kenner to have him represent him on his appeal.
David Kenner was a longtime Los Angeles criminal attorney. By the late 80s, he had become part of a fraternity of top-flight attorneys that handled a lot of federal cases, a lot of big drug cases downtown. In the course of his legal work, he became Michael Harris's attorney. I think if you look at clients of his over time, David has a habit of getting very close to his clients and getting very involved in his clients' lives, perhaps more so than would be wise for a lawyer.
David just, fell in love with Mike when they became friends. He was a friend to us, I looked at him like family. I was out in LA by myself and he took me in, him and his family would go out to eat. We would do everything together.
He became someone who was a confidant, a friend of Michael Harris's, and also involved in business with Michael Harris.
I think that he's a lawyer who had a lot of money and he represented people who had a lot of money, and it would not be unusual to me for somebody who represented people with money to say, I want to invest.
To achieve the massive task of getting me out of prison, it took not just money but power and the proper timing. At some point, we talked about getting into the entertainment business.
Everybody wants to be in the music business. And the years that I've worked, I've gotten tapes and offers from everyone from politicians, to businessmen who want to be in the entertainment business.
A young man by the name of Eric had told me about Suge's background, and that Suge was aware of my background, and that he was somewhat intrigued behind my past, and he had wanted to hook up with me in some form or fashion.
They started talking, Mike said, you got Dr. Dre, and Suge said, yeah, he a producer.
But once I found out that Suge was in the entertainment business, which I had been contemplating re-entering, I made the hookup, and we talked on the phone a few times.
Mike said, well, we need to meet. And Suge said, well, I got a couple of cases. You know, I can't get in to visit you. So Mike said, no, I got this attorney. He's bad. He can get you in here.
David Kenner brought Suge Knight to see Michael at a Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles.
When I asked the question to Suge, what does it actually take? He told me that we could be 50-50 partners for about $1.5 million.
They set down their basic business plan that they would start a company called Godfather Entertainment, and one division of it would be Death Row Records.
What I suggested to David and Suge is that I do not include my name in the corporation, and that these guys could go ahead and do the actual upfront managing and representing of the company. Kenner started off as my guy, watching my back, supposedly, and Lydia was also there to represent my percentage of GF Entertainment, which we decided would be the parent company of Death Row.
One day, I see these two people walk in a building who I'd never seen before, and one was David Kenner, and the other was Lydia Harris.
In the summer of 1991, Kenner started coming around. There was a lot of buzz about this company, a lot of expectations that it could be a successful company. And David was one of the people around at the time making a play to be Suge's partner and to take care of business for Suge, to handle business for Suge.
A couple days after Mrs. Harris and David Kenner came in, things actually changed drastically. Immediately, the studio gets carpeted, things start getting fixed. I'm starting getting presented with money to find apartments for the artists that didn't have any apartments, didn't have any money. I'm also given an allowance for them.
I saw a few little upgrades in the studio, some chairs, some speakers.
And I was also told we'll be getting collect calls and to accept them and to find Suge where he was and connect them.
We were assigned with them to build an awareness for Godfather Entertainment and to kick off their first vehicle, which is Death Row Records, to the industry.
Norman Winter, in his infinite wisdom, said, let's take the boys into Beverly Hills. Let's stick it in everybody's face. So off to Chasen's.
Let me see you put your hands together and say, oh yeah! Let me see somebody give Dre, Suge, DOC a round of applause. Death Row Records is going to be the record company of the 2000s.
We were thinking about putting in metal detectors at the entrance.
Everyone gets served with subpoenas as an invitation.
You're hereby ordered to appear before the Honorable Dr. Dre and the officers of GF Entertainment as a guest of the court to witness the springing of Death Row Records.
Put your hands together. Come on, y'all, make some noise.
We invited virtually every major record company executive in Los Angeles and New York, and it was so big that we originally planned on spending around 25,000. I think it turned out to be 35 or 50.
They had enough money at that time behind them, and they looked good. For somebody that comes out of nowhere to have a party at Chasen's on Grammy night, which is reserved generally for all the white people. It's also a place that would never be associated with rap music in any way unless it was something co-sponsored by a white group.
The market we're going after, we're mainly for the people. I mean, for us, the West Coast, there's a lot of talent around that guys really don't have the opportunity to have a chance to prove themselves. So far as GF Entertainment goes, with the studio and the films, we're giving all the youngsters the opportunity from all the neighborhoods where basically we haven't forgot where we came from.
I personally interviewed all of the players that were there.
GF Entertainment is a multimedia company. We have Death Row Records, we have a movie production unit, concerts, we're going to be doing pay-per-view concerts and all kinds of exciting things.
In the beginning, they was giving Mike his props. And they was recognizing that there was another entity that helped this be one major powwow.
When it came to Dave Kenner, he toasted the man who made it all responsible, Harry O.
The label started with Dr. Dre, who was going to do his own thing, and with a lot of help from Suge Knight and Harry O and a number of people, and we got it all together.
And that's on tape, and the FBI confiscated that from me under very rude circumstances.